In addition to that, we had a ball on the gun issue. We did actually, you know what I did is I went and I got the handbook, the Perception of Racism handbook from the left. You know, they've been playing this race card for a long time. Now I know that there are certain pockets of racism maybe somewhere. My daughter's an actress and they do this little show on Disney, and it's the first time in history of Disney that they actually have an interracial couple, and they've never mentioned that they're interracial. They just refuse to do it. But of course the news wants to know, wow, how's reception? You know, are you hearing from any racists? So they asked one of the kids on the show, well, are you hearing from racists? He's like, oh, do they still exist in our country? And so California kids, okay, they're so diverse now, especially when you live in a state like California. And you don't know there are some? He said, well, you know, there might be 3 somewhere down in Alabama. I'm not sure. So anyway, that's a whole different subject. But on the perception of racism, you would think that it's everywhere. And so I took their handbook and I learned how they play their race card, and I decided to play it against them on the gun issue, because when you look at Second Amendment rights that we have in this great country of ours, there are some people that didn't participate, have still not participated, and there are reasons that they've not participated throughout history. And one of those reasons is because part of Jim Crow law was the black codes, which made sure that blacks stayed unarmed. What we want to do is remind the population that, you know, blacks weren't all slaves. There was about 10% of the population that were not slaves. They were free men and they had all the rights of all free people. And over time, the laws started changing so that they can do exactly what they were trying to do to us, exactly what they did in Europe when they started unarming them, to where they only targeted certain people groups, the poor and Catholics in Europe. Over here, they particularly went after the blacks, and blacks were unarmed. And by the time they got to the doorstep of Jim Crow, we had horrible situations with the KKK. You would think, as liberals have rewritten history, that all whites participated in KKK. Not so. Actually, it was less than 5% of our society. So 5%, 6 million people were able to wreak havoc over the 4 million newly freed slaves who are now American citizens because of one thing, gun rights. Because of one thing, gun control. So yeah, we played the race card on them, and it was huge. And for those of you that haven't seen that particular ad, because you're not a Foxaholic, and because everyone showed it, whether it was O'Reilly or Hannity, and all of the shows picked it up. We did the big press conference at the National Press Club. It went viral, and I can't take all of the credit, but and especially without the help of your senator. But I'll tell you one thing: gun control is not a reality today in Washington D.C. and for this country. We can do whatever we want to in our states. We all have a constitutional right to keep and bear arms.
GrokTV.